There are strange things out there that seem to have no explanation. Sometimes they are conjured up by the darkest corners of our subconscious, but on occasion they dwell beyond the confines of our imagination. They may come from another realm, or out of the sky, or from beyond the grave. Once they set foot into our world, the line between dreams and reality becomes unclear. It's our job to investigate these reports and compile the Virginia Paranormal Case Files.
As soon as we moved into the house, we noticed that the far bedroom was freezing cold. It's also the furthest room from the HVAC, so like that kind of didn't make sense. We never got a good vibe, so nobody would go in that room. We just put a bed there and would just keep that door closed. We started hearing like noises in the house, and then I always said, oh, it's the dogs or it's the kids, stuff like that. One time the kids weren't home, and then I heard mommy, same voice as my youngest, and they were at their dad's house. It was just me and my ex-fiance in here, and he called mommy, and I jumped up and I looked back and there was nothing there. That night we started getting like knocks at the bedroom door. Still nobody in the house. I made sure to keep the dogs in the room with us, and there were like knocks at the door, and it sounded like actual banging on like pipe on pipe kind of thing, like metal on metal. And we just should have like flower vases getting thrown across the room. So like I had a table over there and with my flower pots, and then it would end up over here broken on the floor kind of thing. The TV turning on and off weird times of the day, the like 5 a.m., the loudest volume, and the fan and light turning on and off. So we got that camera. We noticed the fan was turning on and off. There was nothing really that would cause that. And then when I went to lay down, I said, oh, let me look at the video to see if there was something that could show why the fan kept flashing or the light kept flashing. And that's when I saw out of nowhere there was this like smoke on the screen, and it moved a certain way and it comes back. I mean, since then we still have the knocks at the door. Like the dogs will just stare at the door and growl the whole time, or weird stuff like that. My youngest, I think they tried with her. Sorry, but good. Because only in my house she wakes up crying, screaming every single time. Only in my house. She goes to her dad's house on the street and nothing. So we asked in the neighborhood if anybody else has had issues like this, and actually another neighbor right here on the roundabout actually sold her house for the same reason, because she kept getting like weird things happening in her house, and they sold it, moved, still in the neighborhood, and never had those issues again. Yeah, it's right here, because then there's another person that lives, not this house. So this house, somebody else felt something too. Mm-hmm. And then the two houses next to it, they have something too. And another person still, I think she's right there. She can smell, her kid woke up saying like that there was something, and she can smell cigarette smoke in her house. So we started like doing research about the neighborhood, because the houses are fairly new. So researching the neighborhood to maybe see why stuff like that would be happening here. But this is the Dismal Swamp, so used to be slave land and Confederacy wars kind of places. So that's where my money is with these things. I've read about like the ones that mimic things or people that those are usually bad. So I saged the house and I turned all the lights on, and as soon as I left we call it the ghost room, because that room, like, you'll give, every time there's stuff happening, happens there. And as soon as we left there, the lights here were turned off. Even though everything had been turned on, the kids were with me, the dogs were with us, and then the lights over here had turned off by itself or by something. And then after we finished saging, we could hear the mommy calling over and over and over again, about like 5 or 6 times. And I kept them in the room because I was afraid about like what could happen. I kept them in my room and they were dead asleep.
Went to a 3. It's just right here. I have to stand like right here. And this is ironic because she said like her plants on the table were like flying across the room in this area.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering, if something is in this area, but only in this spot.
That was it. He was like, yep.
It's not around, it's not high enough to be by the light.
Well, another thing is that field that's right here would theoretically give something enough energy to be able to do something like that if it's high enough.
Okay, so kind of this area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's probably this stuff right here.
Next green. Oh, there we go. Hey guys.
Is that the room that nobody likes to go in?
No, and I've had the neighbors.
Hey y'all.
They didn't know anything. They didn't want to know. My ex-fiance, he just moved out, but he would sleep on the couch instead of sleeping in the bed we had there because of like what that room had, whatever it is it was.
Okay.
So that's the room.
Dogs must be in here.
No, that's the bathroom. The dogs are in there.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh, they're mighty quiet.
Oh my gosh, y'all got lots.
Pretty impressive.
So it's like a 2.7 in his room.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of electronics in there.
That's a beautiful room. Got your own bathroom. Boy, I could have it made up here.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had this room. You can have it. Yeah, thank you. And this is the
Is this where you and your sister sleep?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we did our initial sweep, and in my finding, the front of the house, the front bedroom, the readings were a little high, but actually the bedroom where we would now have the family's dogs was actually the highest. So we have a controversy of the 2 bedrooms in the front of the house having the highest readings versus the back of the house having lower readings than the front. So we're going to have to do some more investigation to see where that's going to take us. But right now I find that the front of the house has higher readings than the back.
I noticed that too, that there's more, seems to be more energy in where the dogs were. And I caught some glimpses of yellow and almost to orange in upper stairs within the girls' room in an area where they have their tents set up, their play tents. And I don't know what the reason what that is, but I did catch some readings from my K2 meter.
I'm gonna try walking around with these. This is a new invention, to my knowledge. These were sent to us They're called aura glasses. Okay, and what they do is they combine UV tinting with some kind of molecular exciting chemicals, and you're supposed to actually be able to see an aura. So this is what they look like right here, right? And it says Aura View, trademarked. These are the aura glasses. So you put these on, and it's not like you see ghosts, but there are applications to a paranormal field. Now what I've noticed, and unfortunately we can't really demonstrate this, or the way it works actually, is if you put your hand in front of a white surface or a solid colored surface, you can see kind of an aura, a white outline around your hand, and when you move it, you can kind of see the streaks. I've always wondered that with seeing spirits, it has to do with playing around with the light spectrum. So I'm going to kind of experiment with these tonight. Walk around, put them on during some of our spirit box sessions and EVP sessions, and see what we pick up. But meanwhile, let's start with the spirit box, and let's come into the room where we got the highest levels and see if we get anything. So we're about to activate the spirit box, and we won't mistake the dog barking for any spiritual voices, of course, but I want to demonstrate this speaker. If you touch the top of it, lightly touch it, it will manipulate the light. So before we get started, I'd kind of like to introduce myself. I'm Jeff.
I'm Tanya.
I'm Jack.
And if there's anybody here with us, we're trying to talk to you. We're trying to find out who you are, a little bit of information about you. And we welcome you to come and touch this. You can manipulate this if you want to. Okay. We also have this little device right here that we're going to set up. And this is another one that if you come near it, pitch will come on and the lights will light up, but it will not hurt you. So you're welcome to interact with either of these devices to let us know that you're here or to communicate with us.
How many of you are there here? Dog barking.
Can you tell us what your business is here?
Dog realm. We like to tap on the doorway of the owner's bedroom late early in the morning. What do you want?
Dog. It's a little hard with the aura glasses because like the mask is making them fog up. Kind of got to let my nose out for a minute.
Please, we want to communicate with you. Come in this room.
Were you here before this house was built? Almost sounded like a no.
Exactly.
The woman who lives here, she said that Sam said that many of the neighbors that live in this area have felt unsettled. Have you been into their houses?
Was it you playing on the pipes?
During the course of the spirit box session, I put on these aura glasses and I looked around the room, didn't notice anything. I also, just to experiment, I took a couple pictures, putting the camera right up to the lens and took a couple pictures. Didn't see any anomalies in there at all, but I think these are really cool concepts, so we're going to keep experimenting with them. Nothing interacted with either of the lights, nothing interacted with the REM pod. The dog got a little edgy, but I'm pretty sure that was me. Because when I came in, he seemed quiet for a little bit. Then when I came in and knelt down with the camera, he started growling and rustling around a little bit. So I think that was directed at me.
Matter of fact, you asked the question if you were here before the house was, and the direct answer came out and said no.
Bedroom is going to be the ex-fiance's bedroom. It's the front bedroom in the house, which seems to be the room that they call the ghost room that nobody wants to go into at all and nobody wants to sleep in.
All right, let's head into the ghost room. So we have this light here, and this time, for some reason, it changes color. So if you touch it, it'll change a color for us.
Cool.
Is there any way you can try doing that? You can try making that light? Did that just change?
Just did it by itself.
Did it, or was it because I put these glasses on? It was red, right?
Oh, look.
That's green.
Okay, so it must supposed to be doing that, is it?
Sometimes it does that, just goes through the color.
Oh, okay.
You must have put it in a certain mode.
He did.
See, I don't know. This is my first time using this thing.
Well,
Linda
let's
used
just
it
see if
before,
does
and
it.
I
Yeah,
never-
you put it in a mode so that it's doing that.
How do I get out of that mode?
There. Now let's see if it does it. Alright, so it's orange. So it would have to touch it now to change it, to change the color.
Yeah, 'cause it's not random now.
Right.
All right. Hey, the people that live here, they're a little leery about coming into this room. They don't like to do it. Do you know why?
Are you in here with us? Can you make that red light turn green so we know you're in here with us? It would really help us out if we knew you were in here with us. It seems to be your favorite place to hang out. If you touch that REM pod red light, it'll turn green, and we'll know that you're in here with us.
How many of you are in this room? Sam said she came back here before and asked, and someone told her there were seven others in this house. Can you do something to confirm that, to let us know that that's true? What was that?
The dog.
Oh, okay.
That's the dog crying.
Can you at least tell us what your intentions are? People around this area have been moving out of their houses. Do you want people to move out of their houses? Do you want them to move out of this house, I should say?
You feel comfortable with we being here? We went ahead and asked questions, and we didn't get anything on the spirit box.
The spirit box session was a flop. I didn't get a thing. Didn't feel anything, didn't get any answers, didn't light up the REM pod, nothing. We didn't get anything. It didn't appear that we got anything. We haven't listened back to the voice recordings yet. Once again, I tried the Aura glasses, and I didn't see anything through them, took a couple pictures through them, but, there wasn't any really indication that something was here for sure. So we still have yet to see how these things work when we have an indication that there's something there. I've been surprised. The REM pod has not gone off once. And I say that because a lot of people question this device. They say, well, this is made for paranormal investigation. Is it that it just goes off at random at certain times?
You know, you can see it's a paranormal research instrument. So they'll question it. But it's cases like this that kind of add some validity. Or is it validity? Whichever it is, it adds it to the REM pod. Because I feel that when you have a case where this thing doesn't go off, you go into various locations, it doesn't go off. When you go into a place and it does go off, it shows that
It
there's
means
something there.
something, yeah.
It means something, right? But I think what we want to do now is a rolling spirit box session. And the reason I say this is because when Tanya first walked into that room, felt like there was something there, didn't the second time. So if we kind of take the spirit box and we do a rolling spirit box session, we walk throughout the house, and if there's any place where we start to get a spike on one of our devices, or we get a response through the spirit box, we may stop there and ask a few questions to see if it continues through.
Okay.
So I think that'll be a good next move.
All right.
Okay, so as we're walking through, let's ask some questions. All right?
What's your favorite room in the house to hang out?
Yeah. If there's a particular area, let's go in here, Tanya, for a second. If there's a particular area of the house that we come to where you would like us to stop, where it's easier for you to communicate, let us know.
I just smelled cigarette smoke in there. Did y'all smell it?
I did not. That's interesting, though, because she mentioned that as being one of the things she smells, right?
Yeah.
If there's any area that we come to where you find it easier to talk to us, let us know.
Are you following us right now? Why did I just smell cigarette smoke?
If there's a part of the house that you feel is significant, perhaps there's some kind of a message that you're trying to get across. Why did this flower pot get thrown? Do you not like plants? Or are you just trying to get a message across? This was an area right here where you got a pretty high level during that baseline. We wonder, in areas like this, is it easier for you to manifest? Is it easier for you to move objects? If that's the case, can you move an object for us now? While we're here, I'm just going to kind of throw on these aura glasses real quick and look around and just kind of see if anything happens with any of the fields that were here. If we can see any kind of auras or anything like that. I'm not seeing anything. Here's what we're looking like through the aura glasses.
Other than coming out
And perhaps
I haven't felt anything.
not quite as accurate through here as it is when you're actually wearing them.
Other than coming through that hallway when I smelled the cigarette smoke, I haven't felt anything like anything following me since. I just had that one moment of like that smell, and that was it.
What about upstairs here?
The little girl's room.
Do you ever come up here? I imagine if you like toys, there's a lot to play with up here.
you like this room?
Do these girls have anything to worry about sleeping up here? Maybe you could say something that could help put their mind at ease. What was that?
From over there.
Did it come from in the closet?
From over there. Yep. It's coming from over here.
What was that?
Are you banging on the bathroom wall? What are you doing?
I'm trying to see, is it the floorboards maybe? Let's pause the spirit box for a minute.
That's the floor.
I think we debunked it. The rolling spirit box session, when you have the spirit box going and there's so much noise, we walk up here, we're asking questions, and we heard what sounded like something over here or over here. We couldn't pinpoint it. I thought it sounded like it came from there. Tanya heard it over here. But I swear it just sounded like the floorboards.
Now we're not hearing it.
No, I'm not hearing it.
There it is. There it is. It's the floor.
See, so certain places you walk in,
It's the.
yeah,
It's got to be the floor.
And it sounds like it's over there, so it's the floor. It's the floorboard. So it's certain things like that. I've seen this before, where you're walking in a house and you step on a floorboard and you hear it popping in the bathroom or in another room. So it's one thing we got to look out for. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it didn't seem like that was a spirit by any means.
Yeah, we set up a spirit box, asked a lot of questions, and we didn't really get much out of it.
I was hoping for a place, as we were walking through doing the rolling spirit box session, I was hoping for a place where the spirit or spirits could communicate with us better, might come through, might tell us to stop. If it's somebody that had a message, I was hoping they would draw us to a significant point of the house where they may be able to convey that message or give us a clue as to what that message was. As we were listening to the spirit box, walking through, it didn't sound like anything that was a direct response came through. But once again, we're going to have to review it to make sure that's 100%. Once again, nothing with the aura glasses, but I got to say, I think these things are pretty cool because they do play with the light quite a bit. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting wearing these at various locations and looking at different things through them and seeing what unexplained things we might pick up. We're down here in the dining room, and this is the area where the flower pot was thrown across the room. A strange mist appeared right over this doorway behind us here. So it seems like a hot spot for activity. Also, we got a pretty significant spike during the baseline sweep here. We're going to try an EVP session. The house has gotten very quiet, and I think it's conducive to that. Love a good EVP, so let's see what we can pick up here. All right, I'm Jeff.
I'm Tanya.
I'm Jack.
And you know, we've been walking through here, we've been walking around, trying to see if anyone will talk to us. We turned off that noisy box that was making all that sound, and we have some voices outside. If you like that being off and you're willing to try to talk to us without it, talk to us now. Tell us your name, or come near that red light and try to make it turn green.
It's not going to harm you, and we'd like to communicate with you, but we don't know that you're here with us if you don't give us some sign. The only way we know that you're here with us is if you do that. So if you would go near that REM pod where you see that red light and just go near it, it'll light up a color. The color's not going to harm you. It's just going to let us know you're here in the room with us.
Dog. Could you tell us what this misty figure is that's been seen over here by the door?
Homeowner.
let's try powering up the spirit box. Let's see here. If that's easier for you to communicate through that, will you come near that red light for us?
Can you touch the light and make a turn?
You come and go from this house as you please. Is there something you want from the homeowner?
Do you mean any harm to these people living in this house?
An interesting thing with the spirit box. We put it down here in the dining room. We started out with an EVP session, got a little noisy, so we went to the spirit box. This is the area where the flower pot was thrown. It's the area that had a 3 milligauss EMF field, which isn't extremely high, but it is what a refrigerator would typically give off from our experience. So it's believed that spirits could use that to manifest. So we sat down here for a spirit box session. Now what's interesting is as we're doing this spirit box session, I noticed in the back bedroom and out here, as soon as the question is asked, are you inhuman?
The spirit box will shut off as far as any musical or verbal communication coming through it. It's just, it goes silent.
Right.
And there's basically no static either.
It just
goes
quiet.
silent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets quiet.
You just hear the snowy like shh.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's weird. And then moments later the voices will come on and they'll be constant. The radio chatter. Mm-hmm. One of the reports was that this spirit mimicked the voice of the little girl. And that is not usually good. It's often said that something demonic will mimic voices and such.
And that was with the little girl not even in the house.
Right. She wasn't even in the house. And we've had, one thing I've noticed though with our cases, we've had several cases like this where a voice was being mimicked. And some of them involved activity that would be considered demonic. And others didn't. It didn't seem to have serious activity. So I've had this running theory, and I'm not sure if it's out there somewhere because I don't really get on Facebook that much anymore and look to see what other people are talking about. What if we talk about residual hauntings, mm-hmm. right? What if somebody's residual voice, residual energy can be left behind? Mm-hmm. Because residual hauntings, they're not exactly a spirit that will interact with you. It's basically like something replaying itself. It can be a sound, a voice, it can be a smell. It can be a sight.
Like I smelled the cigarette smoke just in that one spot.
Right, right. And the cigarette smoke would be something that may be residual. Mm-hmm. The little girl's voice, even though she's alive, we've had cases with living spirits. What if because of the energy in this house and because of her being here all the time, what if that was residual? Like a residual voice. And this often happens where people live in the house. And it's weird because it doesn't happen all the time. But you think about it, these people are in the house all the time. They're always calling each other, and she's calling her mom. And perhaps at some point, if the energy is just right, that gets burned onto the atmosphere and can replay itself. What do you think about that?
That would be
Makes
a long shot, but it could happen.
It could, yeah. Well, theoretically, it could if we believe in residual spirits. So theoretically, it's all theory. I would just wonder with something dark, with something evil.
Might use that space and energy.
Could, right. But also, I would have thought it would have done more, like physically. Usually in these cases where it's something very dark, someone's usually physically attacked by now. The flower pot was thrown across the room. But then again, we often talk about how you have a spirit that's trying to let you know that the spirit is there. So it's, for all we know, kind of like the movie Ghosts, You know, where swatting at the object and the hand keeps going through until they can focus enough and get enough energy to make contact, and then boom, it gets knocked on the
Well,
floor.
it's making contact because it's physically knocking a vase across the room.
Right,
Breaking
right.
it, so it's making contact.
Yeah, absolutely. How far across the room did that vase
It
fly?
went from here to over there.
To where I'm standing?
No, further, over there, near the couch.
Yeah.
Where she found it.
So, I mean, that's a good distance. That is a good distance. I don't know. I can't say for sure that the vase getting thrown, that alone, would constitute something incredibly evil. You know?
It doesn't have to be evil, but it would have to be mad.
Yes,
I
I was
mean,
gonna
just a
say
normal,
angry.
just a normal spirit wouldn't, I don't think, swipe an object just to be breaking it, just to let you know it's here.
Anger.
It would have to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
plus the constant tapping at the door and the knocking at the door. I think something thinks that maybe this particular, if this was swamp, why would it think it lived here? Why would it think it needs to get somebody's attention? Because swampland, nobody lived on swampland. You know, there wasn't
Right.
a home here before. I don't get what maybe was in the swamp. Could there have been a shipwreck? I mean,
Yes.
where is this spirit coming from?
The Great Dismal Swamp is actually steeped in paranormal activity.
Yeah.
There's an old poem that was written about Native American spirits that were here.
Yes.
So the Native Americans, I believe there were shipwrecks. I forget the entire story, but something about either the tide rising up and a ship getting trapped in there, or something got
Yes.
thrown in there in a hurricane. But there was an old ship that they found in there. And there have also even been reports of extraterrestrial activity throughout the Dismal Swamp.
And so why is it always between 3 and about 5 a.m.? What is her time frame was between 3 and 5 that the dog is scratching or like getting up at her door, and when she's hearing the knocking, it's about 3 a.m.
Yeah. So the dog's picking up on it. No further evidence was uncovered during the evidence review. Sam revealed that most of the significant activity seemed to subside when her ex moved out of the house. She is comfortable with the current level of activity, providing it doesn't increase or inflict any harm on her or her family.